Are you aware of the Paxton family of Melbourne?
Oh, I am, yes. I've followed that very closely.
Is a haircut or the wrong uniform colour, is that a legitimate reason for not taking a job?
Oh, look, I think their attitude to most Australians was completely unacceptable.
Good evening. A Prime Minister still wet behind the ears, dancing to the tune of Packer's Bully Boys. It's not a pretty sight. This week I want to look at what that pack of nasty bastards at A Current Affair have done to 3 defenceless kids from the western suburbs of Melbourne. We'll let them define their own ethics.
Sometimes, though, you just have to take a stand.
Ripping people off.
If you want to make a difference.
A Current Affair with Ray Martin returns soon.
We'll stop at nothing to bring you a good story.
Ray Martin returns to A Current Affair tonight on 9.
The programme that will stop at nothing boasts a selective courage, specialising in the softest of targets. You'll never see Ray Martin picking on someone Kerry Packer's size. This is not journalism, it's show business. Long-term youth unemployment? How does ACA cover that? Well, by shouting at them, get your hair cut, dole bludgers.
They say there's no way off the dole queue.
The future doesn't look that good.
But are they doing enough?
Why do I have to get out of bed?
12 past 12, get up.
Another reason we know it's not journalism is that the man behind the cameras, executive producer Neil Mooney, has declared that the ethics of journalism have nothing to do with his show.
I would have breached the hidden camera, the surveillance, and I would have breached checkbook journalism.
Many times?
Oh, yeah, probably 30, 40, 50.
That's the setting. Now let's overlay their treatment of the hapless Paxton kids, a story, classically, lifted from this Sunday Age feature about youth, which included an interview with the Paxton boys.
Mark Paxton, 16 and unemployed, but he was still in bed and didn't want to get up. It was 2:30 p.m. So his older brother Shane said he'd stand in. Later, when we went back to photograph Shane, he couldn't be stuffed getting up either.
ACA's research went no further.
Mark, get up. Get up. It's 12 past 12, get up.
And it's the same story for Shane's 17-year-old brother, Mark. There's just no reason to get out of bed.
Let me sleep for a little bit longer.
You guys get out of bed pretty late.
I'll wake up about 9 o'clock, look at the clock, think, why do I have to get out of bed?
Any self-respecting journalist would have seen that as the peg for a story about the implications, psychological, economic and political, of long-term youth unemployment. But not Martin, Munro and Mooney, the old firm. This was as deep as the politics got.
Do you think politicians and governments in general understand what you're really going through?
Nah, they wouldn't have a clue. Not at all.
Why?
If they had to come and live here, they wouldn't handle it.
They'd hang themselves.
Yeah, they would.
Like Munro with that report, pretty stark stuff, isn't it? Next, by contrast, we join the millionaire passengers on the QE2, where they can lay on every luxury.
Next day, Martin worked the old amazing response line and started orchestrating the backlash.
But most viewers believe the Paxtons are unfairly blaming the system for holding them back, saying the younger members of the family would have a much better chance of getting a job if they change the way they look and the way they dress.
When Martin starts talking about most viewers or Australians, or even more telling, Aussies, reach for the remote control. The Pavlovian responses of ACA's callers provoked Munro to rescue from the cutting room floor a rejected take from the Paxton interview.
So, Shane, would it be worth cutting your hair?
No, I don't want to cut it. I should be, that's not stopping me from doing the work.
It shouldn't have any effect?
No.
And that might have been the end of it, but no. They spent a fortnight setting up these kids, one of them still a child, for a real beating.
And tonight we've got a story that you probably won't believe. A family who told us that they were desperate for work, offered jobs of a lifetime. So what happens when they're put to the test?
Stand by for the populist exploitation.
Most viewers thought that the Paxtons were rather using and abusing the system, not doing nearly enough to get a job and get off the dole.
Hence the setup, by which I mean a staged event plotted in detail. A struggling resort, without a thought for the free publicity on a national top-rating program, offered the Paxton kids jobs. Well, not exactly. But Munro flew them up there with their sister Bindi, sucked in.
South Mole Island, a tropical paradise on the Great Barrier Reef, smack bang in the middle of the Whitsundays, where thousands of tourists flock to take it easy. So what do you think?
I like it. Good living.
But Mark, Bindi and Shane Paxton are not here for a holiday. All long-term unemployed, they're here to try and turn their lives around.
It's work, it's money in their pocket, it's a bit of self-esteem, and everyone's got to start somewhere, and this is a chance to start.
But he wasn't offering them a job at all.
And now you've got to sell me and tell me why I've got to be choosing you instead of choosing one of these people.
Oh, I'm hardworking. I could do any of the work you wanted me to do.
Yeah.
And I'm good with talking to people. I'm not shy. I'm a big boy. I can lift lots of things. I have no problem getting along with people. I'm honest, hardworking, and I won't let you down.
I'm in a band, so I'm used to working with people.
Yep.
And dealing with the public.
Quite out of the blue, Munro's story included this exchange.
What's the deal with the haircuts?
It's got to be a haircut. These are the grooming standards that everybody meets. I can't have exceptions.
The jobs, for heaven's sake, were labouring on the golf course and washing dishes in the kitchen. Short hair hardly an issue. And in any case, Munro already knew their objection from his original interview. The haircuts, according to Shane Paxton, were part of the setup.
Kevin Collins, the manager of South Mole Island Resort, and A Current Affair, had Mark and myself booked into the island barber for a week prior.
Maybe the Paxton boys were wrong about their haircuts, maybe. But they're just kids, 16 and 18 years old, and I thought there was a good deal of simple dignity and self-respect implicit in what they were saying.
Do you realise that you are throwing away a fantastic opportunity?
I'm not throwing it. I would take the opportunity.
Not throwing it away.
But I'm just not cutting my hair for it. It does not affect how I work. It does not change who I am for a job.
Bindi was the next one lined up for destruction. Even from the ACA story, it was plain she was reluctant to leave a boyfriend in Melbourne and the prospect of further work in a band. I had the impression ACA dragged Bindi along too, solely to add scale and a bit of gender to the setup. Instead of saying she didn't really want to move away from Melbourne, Bindi used the unattractive uniform as an excuse.
You still want it or not? I mean, obviously you're going to have to wear the uniform to keep the job.
I have to wear that, no.
And here he is, the frontman bully, telling his audience how to react.
Can you believe that? Mike Munro with that report, produced by John McAvoy. And despite knocking back those jobs, it seems the Paxtons will still get their dole.
i.e. Ray Martin, anointed by Kerry Packer as Mr. Australia, ever so subtly constructing the next phase. Rednecked outrage that 3 kids they set up, sucked in and destroyed should still be entitled to unemployment benefits, or, to use the ACA pejorative, the dole. It worked like a charm.
The public outcry over that unemployed family.
I want the job, but I don't want to cut my hair.
The colour's not right. I want purple.
How can they refuse good jobs but still qualify for the dole? Thousands of calls to us and to Talkback Radio, all wanting to know the same thing. How can 3 young people who say they're desperate for work knock back good jobs in a tropical paradise and still expect to collect the dole?
The old footage dredged up again, recut and warmed up to maintain the rage.
It's got to be a haircut.
But Shane Paxton has long hair. He doesn't have short hair. That's part of him. That's the way he is.
Not satisfied with their humiliation of the kids on the island, Mooney sent one of his minor bullies to harass their mother at home.
I'm not saying anymore. I just come out. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to be in it anymore.
And a neighbour with a grievance was given a free kick at the family.
They go around disturbing everybody at night time as well. Well, they sleep during the day. How are you supposed to sleep at night time when we've got people who've got kids and little babies? You can't sleep. You got my dogs barking at night time.
What do they do at night?
Oh, disturbing the neighbourhood.
Martin played a tune for a politician.
Premier, can I just ask you quickly, did you see our story last night about the 3 young Victorians who refused to take those jobs?
Yes, I did.
You heard the tune, Jeff. Now dance to it.
I mean, it was only through your program that they got the opportunity, but it was an unbelievable offer. To turn it down for those reasons really does make you all question just where is this country going.
By now, even the dullest tabloid intellect could see it was time to come aboard.
The kids who refused jobs in paradise.
Stop their dole.
Community outrage.
And speaking of dull tabloid intellects...
Meet the Paxtons, the patron saints of dole-bludgers.
And in his nasty little piece for the Herald Sun, Tim Jamieson had a rundown of the Paxton kids' outrages, including that they...
turned down jobs at fast food restaurants because they are vegetarians.
The telly's editorialist lost grip on reality.
For the sake of all our children, they must be ordered to take a job.
So simple, isn't it? And when the pack is baying for blood, can John Laws be far behind?
The Paxton kids, the putrid Paxton kids, they're enough to make all Australia sick. Now Australia's most famous dole-bludgers. I didn't see the program in which they starred, but plenty of you people did.
He didn't see the program, mind, but Laws can still call them putrid. And the following night, Martin and Mooney's polyester outrage at the Paxtons receiving welfare, the total amount of which for the whole family would be significantly less than the weekly lease on Mooney's Lexus or Martin's Mercedes-Benz, was palpable.
Well, this program and Talkback Radio right around Australia has been flooded with calls from angry Australians who believe the Paxtons should now be disqualified from receiving the dole.
It was enough to send the taxpayers of Australia into a spin.
The Herald Sun gave Munro space to tell us that his son also hates the Paxtons.
Sean said he was absolutely disgusted. So was I.
Since then, Nine has squeezed every last drop out of the story.
Dawn Paxton defends her unemployed children, now stripped of the dole for refusing good jobs.
Not many stories on a current affair have ignited public debate as much as the Paxtons.
And finally this week, the tale of 3 unemployed Melbourne teenagers who refused work in a tropical paradise.
Also tonight, we meet the young people who took those jobs the Paxton family rejected. Haircuts and uniforms didn't bother them. Are you aware of the Paxton family of Melbourne?
Oh, I am, yes. I've followed that very closely.
Right answer. And no doubt he'd also read this sort of anonymous filth in the Herald Sun.
In government now, the coalition must make good its promise to sift out the bludgers.
Confronted by Kerry's thugs and Rupert's thugs, was the new boy going to stand up for the media victims? No, he wasn't.
Oh, look, I think their attitude to most Australians was completely unacceptable.
Right answer.
Howard attacks young dole-bludgers.
Howard blasts job refusal trio.
Attaboy. Abandoned on all sides, Shane Paxton wrote a letter to the paper. And look at the treatment it got.
TV's dole-bludgers.
Letter to taxpayers.
Letter from a dole-bludger.
Munro's response to the letter, however, was given the heading...
Voice of the People.
Bullies Hunting in Packs, the program that stops at nothing. As I said, it's not a pretty sight. Good night to you.